everyone. Welcome. I'm so excited to be here today. We have quite a few of you in here. Welcome to Debbie, first one in chat. So glad that you're here, Debbie. Sylvia from Arizona is here. Susan Thames. Hi, Susan. So glad you made it. Debbie, well, I already got you. And then Karen's here. Welcome, Karen. Sophia. Karen, that's my hubby. He's downstairs. Stacy's here. Gosh, you've been on my mind a lot. I'm sending you a big hug, Stacy. I'm so glad you made it here today. Katie G's here. Kathleen from Georgia's here. Yeah, we all love to know where you're from. It's always wonderful to see how this connects us all by little threads all throughout the world. It's pretty cool. Monique's from Germany. Welcome. Let's see. Did I already see Kathleen from Georgia? Well, welcome, Kathleen. Thanks, you'll take it. Well, I'm stoked that you're here. Oh, Terry's here. Hi, Terry. From all the way from Amarillo. Couldn't say that. Could not get that out. So glad that you're here, Terry. Well, I have an interesting one to show you guys today. So why people are rolling in and I say hi to everybody. I will talk a little bit about last week's lesson. That's what's up here. This is last week's Pastel Insider lesson for my Pastel Insider members. It's Whispers of the Muse, and I'm pretty stoked at how it turned out. So that's what's up here right now. We have Julie Kaufman from Sammamish. Wow, Julie, we're pretty close. I'm over here in Milwaukee, Oregon. And we have Karen, oh, we said Karen's from Kentucky. Cheryl Hurley, she's from Rochester, New York. Oh, that's amazing. I just love how we're all over. And we got 23 of you here so far. So yes, this is the finished piece. I love showing the finished pieces, especially when I have them available. And we walked through, and last week was all about reimagining line art. I did this piece also in full color called The Muse of Creativity. And then I changed it into the Whispers of the Muse for the black and white version. So this is the black and white technique with mixed media that I like to show because it only uses black PanPastel. I also included a bonus video in this one because I'm all about papers this week, it seems to be, and last. I tested out some papers. And I tested out Bristol because I was looking for a smoother paper. And I also tested out the back and the front of the Canson Extra Large. And you'd be surprised at the results. So I put that in there. So that was a lot of fun. And I really enjoyed showing off how to put the gold touches and just kind of reimagining a line art that I already have included in the classroom. A lot of these pieces can go from full color to the black and white with gold. It's just, well, it's black and gold. I'm not really using any white because the paper is the white. So this is a whole different technique. A lot of fun. And it really played off this guy that we did last week. So if you missed the live, you can go see The Guardian. This one was a lot of fun. And I demoed this during the live last week. So this was the lesson that went deeper, and we went all in, and then we added gold in this one. I did a quick time lapse of the rest of this one, so you can see it finished now. And then I'm going to be posting that time lapse here soon. I did a short with that, so I'm going to be posting that hopefully this week. I was hoping to post it last week, but I have that too. So this one, you can watch the live on the replay of that one. Let me check in with chat here. Ari's here. Welcome. Louise, welcome. So glad that you made it today. Peg's in the house. Hi, Peg. So glad that you're here. Oh, it's such a great group. I'm so glad we're all able to come together today. It really means a lot to me. I'm really enjoying building this community together, and it's been so positive. Thank you, Louise. I appreciate it. Oh, Gypsy's in the house. Gypsy Studio. Jan from North Carolina. She's a newbie. Well, we always love having newbies here. Such a positive community. I have to say that is one of the main reasons why I'm still doing the lives after over a year. I think I'm a year and 3 months now. February, March, April, May. Yeah, a year and 3 months I've been doing live streaming. And it has been really surprisingly satisfying in ways that I never thought. And most of it is all about the community. I just think it's really great to be able to connect with you guys all over the world. I mean, we have Germany, we have so many places that everyone's from, and it's really pretty magical. So I'm going to take this down and then I'm going to dive right into what we're going to be doing this week. We have Loretta here. Welcome, Loretta, all the way from North California. Oh, wait. Yeah, I think that's right. California with Millie. You have Millie, the little dog. Yes. Peg says she's working on this one right now, and she says she's loving it. I know Susan's working on it too. So yeah, I'm really, really thrilled. This is a larger piece. It's 12 by 16, and I go into a lot more depth into this lesson, and it was a lot of fun. So I'm going to reset up here a little bit, and we're going to be going into what we're going to be working on today, which it came to me. We were on a little bit of a road trip this weekend. We went to Bend, Oregon to visit some friends of ours that had a brand new baby. So that was a lot of fun. And on the way home, I was sitting there trying to think about what I was going to do this week. And this came to me. So I'm excited to get into the details with it with you. So I just got to zoom up and get my frame all set up here real quick. It won't take long. And then we can get started. So I'm actually pasting up a little bit of a reference just so you can kind of see, because I'm actually going to follow the colors a little bit. I usually will kind of make up my own little colors and all of that, and I'm going to play off of this so you can see both. And then I just have to get it focused here, so just a sec. There we go. All right. So I'm going to talk about what we got in front of us here. I made it a little bit of a mystery for my newsletter subscribers, all of you who got your newsletter today, and also if you checked into the live stream. What we're going to be doing is I get asked so much about Pastelmat and UART, and I meant to do this. I'm going to do it while I'm talking. And I get asked about the differences. I get asked about using them. I get asked so many questions. So I thought, why not do a painting where it is both of them together? So this is all mounted on one 9 by 12. And I put Pastelmat on one half, and then I put UART 600 sanded paper on the other half. So I'm going to mark that because I know people are going to be coming in and out of the chat, and that's just going to take a second here. I got all my stuff. I meant to do this before we started, but I forgot. And the Pastelmat, I started out using Pastelmat, and it just wasn't ticking all my boxes. So I started doing, writing and talking doesn't work. Just a second. I don't have to do that very much. Okay, so I'm gonna, so it wasn't really ticking all my boxes. For me, it doesn't give me as much layering as I like. And I really like being able to have more flexibility. Now, don't get me wrong. I have seen some of the most beautiful paintings created on Pastelmat. People do the most amazing work on it. I've seen people do just incredible work. We're using, from colored pencils to pastel pencils to PanPastel. People have done incredible work with it. Now, with that said, this is all about finding what works in your own creative process, your own journey, because I'm not a traditionalist. I think most of you that have been in my community for a while know that. And I think that's one of the unique things about my community and my lessons and my teachings is I'm not really a traditionalist. I like to dabble in there, and I do pull from, core lessons, value, color, all of those things. But I usually try to push that, boundary quite a bit. So for me to be able to push boundaries, to be able to experiment with textures and colors and layering, I like to have a little bit of unknown left in my process. I like to have a little bit of, I don't know if I want to maybe make some changes or if something works. If I was making this moth realistic, too exact, and didn't want to add any really my own flair, then maybe this pastel mat would be a great journey for me. Wildlife artists use it, portrait artists use it. I have seen amazing things. But I like to have a little bit of wonder, a little bit of mystery. And if you've taken some of my lessons or my classes, you'll see that, you know, I support a lot of my work with my carbon pencil. So I have transferred this piece, and then I use a carbon pencil. For some reason, I'm looking down my Wolf carbon pencil. I support it because I personally want to be able to push in and move things without losing all of my structure that I've done and worked hard for. Now, a lot of people will just transfer it, leave the lines, and then they tediously will work through each little block. That, for me and my personality and my creative process for what brings me joy, doesn't bring me joy. So you have to discover what brings you joy and really try to take note of it. I do also believe that the paper really affects the process, like night and day. I get a lot of people who don't want to invest in either one of these papers, and they just want to use regular pastel paper with no tooth, just texture. And a lot of those are for gesturing and for getting some ideas down, or stick pastels that you're only putting a couple, you know, passes through. Those papers might work well for you and things like that. But for my creative process, I've really loved UART. I am getting a lot lighter in my hand with UART. So Pastelmat really likes a light touch. Let's just say it's a little bit more finicky, if I can do a word. All right, so I'm going to check in with chat here. I gave my little spiel so far, and we'll talk a little bit more about it. Millie says, woof, happy to be here, says Loretta. Thank you. This isn't a lunar moth. This is a silk moth. And specifically, I checked what it was and I wrote it down, I thought. It begins with an A. Let me see. I had it on my phone, I think. So just a second. It might still be up there. I just have to look. Oh, no, it's not up here anymore. So it's a silk moth. I'm just going to put it like that. I'll write down after the live what it is, but it's like an amaryllis or something, silk moth. And I just was really inspired by the clean reference of this, and I was going to change up all the colors, and I said, why make it so difficult? So then I changed, because it's supposed to be just a demo today. We're just exploring. And then, of course, I had to put something of my own in there, like my whimsical. So I got some eyes that I thought of making really kind of not show up to be dramatic maybe, but more subtle. So if someone looks closer, they're going to go, oh, those are eyes. That's what I was thinking. All right, let's see. I love moth. There's some beautiful ones. Yes, and they're big, so I'm probably not too far off. I think this moth would be the size of my hand. Adrian's here. Welcome, Adrian, from Surf City, North Carolina. Let's see. Looks like it's not a Secreopia moth, but it begins with an A. I do know. It's a silk moth. Just bought my first few pans to play with. I wish I had more colors. I guess I need to go shopping now. I'm in love with them. Well, that's wonderful, Cheryl. I'm so excited for you. It's always exciting when you get your colors, and you know, you don't really need to have that many. I would say I have a few lessons and free things that really shows how many, you know, you can use. I put out a few newsletters, and I think you can get by with just 13, to be quite honest, but I love them all. Hey, my sister-in-law's here. Hi, Nichelle. Hope you're having a great day today. Hello. Oh, good. Oh, well, I'm so glad that you're able to pop in. We're going ahead to go visit my brother, and Nichelle is his wife, my sister-in-law, so I'm really excited about that. It might be Promethea moth, but I know I looked it up and it had several different sayings. Like if you go to Google and then I take the moth and I put it in there, but I'll just write down the ones that I looked up. I know it's a silk moth. I did look up that, so I will continue on here. So I'm excited to be able to keep this up here today. I'm going to brighten up my look here because it's really dark. So the one thing is when I switch things, it goes darker and lighter on here. I think I'm going to keep it about right there. So as many of you know right now, I've marked up here, we got Pastelmat and UART. I have never done this before, so I think this will be it'll be an adventure, and that's what these explorations are all about, is just exploring some things, seeing what works, what, feels different. If you are really into, trying to figure out what paper might work for you, you can split it down instead of doing 2 separate paintings. I do know that the characteristics, like I've said, that the Pastelmat just really only takes some really light layers. And what I know that's going to happen is once I put my layers down here, I can't really put a lot of layers of pencil on without being really mindful with the Pastelmat. So that's what I'm going to show you that. Stacy says she loves an adventure. That's awesome. Ooh la la, testing, says Angie. Welcome, Angie. So glad that you made it here today. Oh, that's funny. All right, so here we go. We're gonna just put in some of our darks. I might even go in with my pencils and kind of map out some of my blacks just to get a little bit warmed up first, because I haven't really done a whole lot. So today I haven't been painting. I'm just gonna go in here, and I have another reference up to my left here, but I want to get my blacks in, and that always makes me feel a little bit better. So I'm going to treat these like eyes, and I'm going to make my pupils. Oh, and I have more news that I got to tell you. So those of you that might be interested in following along or having the line art, when I do these types of things, I've decided I'm going to try to put that line art in my free lesson library on my website. So I'm going to go in here and give you that link for some of you that might not be a part of the library yet. So you have to subscribe to my newsletter, and once you subscribe, you'll be sent a welcome email, and then that email will give you a link to join. So then you have another step. You have to join that specific free library. Even if you already have an account, even if you have classes, anything like that, it's like a separate free classroom. So if you want this, I'm calling this the Wings of Wonder. And if you want the line art, you can go in there. I have it in there already. I don't have this link down below in our description yet, but I will put it in after the live. And I've pinned this to the top. So if you want to get that, it's in there now, and then you can play and have some fun too. So now I might have set down my black. So just a moment. I have such a tiny little black this time. I'm almost done with this black pencil, and you know how we like to celebrate when we use our supplies, because I am definitely from a past of holding on to my supplies too much. So I have been switching the perspective of, really leaning into the fact that I want to use them up. And if I use them, I can celebrate that, like that is a good thing instead of being really cautious about using them up. Now I've noticed I got an interesting line in here of what I've done. So I'm just going to put some black in here. So a lot of this moth has these little black highlights around some of the marks. This one is it's supposed to be a little bit of a moon here, but because I changed it with the eyes, I got to put this on the top. So I'm just going to use a pencil to get that in here. Now I can already see the difference. I don't know if you can see it, but I transferred this and then I supported it with the pencil. And you can really see the lines through it. It really embosses very easily. So that is one thing I don't get on the UART. I can transfer my stuff and it's not really an issue. So I'm going to go in here and just get some of these black lines in here. A little bit heavier, just to get us started. And this is a mirror, so I'm just going to mirror everything and just get going. Susan says, yeah, your black is almost done. Just ordered white, black, and wolf carbon pencils. Mine are about this size as mine. Yeah, it's really exciting. You know, I have a few things that I just went through. I don't know if on here, it was my orange that I've replaced, and I replaced a couple colors, updated them because they were pretty shallow. And it's been like, I get kind of tired scooping into them. So I just decided to replace them. So we're getting our darks in. I always like to work with getting my darks in first. I think that really helps me. It's good. You know, you'll see that in a lot of people's processes that they put the darks in first. And that really helps you kind of get a foundation going. And you don't really want all that black to shed down. So this is really interesting. I was pretty light with the transfer, and I can see the transfer lines on here. It's just a more fragile paper. I think that's a way to kind of put it too, is that it can just be a little bit fragile. And I'm not a fragile artist. I would say I'm a little more physical. And even though pastel really should have more of a delicate touch, I have a tendency to be pretty, you know, a little bit rougher with my work. So that's probably another reason why this paper hasn't necessarily been on my path. Well, I started out with it, like I said. So we're just getting these black marks in because we want to get that structure in there first, because you can see in here that there's a lot of that. I had to make this kind of small, but I have a larger one over on my thing. Let's see. I work with Pastelmat all the time and really enjoy it. I still need to try the UART, but can't wait to compare. Yeah, it's a huge difference to me. I notice a big difference. It's just a lot of delicacies like I'm talking about. And if I go in that way, that's great. But like even just the way I naturally transferred it, I didn't really think about it embossing the paper. But if you transfer your work a little too rough, you're going to get that line in there. I'm just going to put these as lines. They're white, but I'm going to do what I want on that. And then I'm going to go around and make this a little darker. And then I'm going to go ahead and put some black in there. And I'm also thinking of adding a scallop right there. And this will be furry. I'm thinking about making these dark. So I'm just going to go ahead and do it. And these are my own little whimsical touches. Okay. Well, we have a good group of you in here. Welcome, everyone. If you're new, please feel free to say hi. Always love to hear from everybody. You can tell us where you're from. That's always a fun one. And it's just really interesting to see where everyone is from all over. Julie says she bought some pastel grain by Claire Fontaine this past weekend. I have, I think, some pastel grain. I use that in more of a stick pastel class, but you know, you just got to try it out. But if you're trying to take my lessons and follow along and do what I'm doing, the paper makes a huge difference. And I think that's the biggest thing I want to get across today is if you are struggling, it's not about your skill level. We have to work on the same paper to compare apples to apples. You know what I mean? Like, the paper makes such a difference in the experience of how I'm teaching versus, you know, how it's going down on the paper can affect your experience. You can also really erase over and over and over again on this paper, and it's basically like sandpaper, and you can be pretty rough with it. Let's see here. I'm thinking of going dark with that, but I think I might go light with it since it's in that thing. And then I have my shadow pencil, which is the 175 here. And I'm going to put some stripes in here. You know, I could do that afterwards and put that on top. So sometimes it's just thinking of which road you want to go. So I got that in there. Now I'm going to go and just start laying in some color. And I'm going to talk a little bit about the colors I've picked out so you guys can know. I don't have them listed down below yet, but if you do not have, these are new. Now I've been really conservative on my journey since I've gotten the new colors about using them. And when I do use them, I usually talk about how to mix them and everything, especially if we're doing a class inside my Pastel Insider membership. Today I decided to pull out some of the new colors, not a whole lot, but if you do not have, this is the primary magenta, not the magenta. So over here I have magenta. So each family has a core color, and this is the primary magenta shade. Let me see here. And this is the primary magenta extra dark, and this is the primary magenta medium, so that's going lighter. And then the actual primary magenta is the core here. So if that is a family. So if you don't have the primary magenta, you can just use the magenta from the original set. And I'm using a family of it. So basically, I took out the primary and I was going to use these three, but I can just leave it in there for a visual. So if you don't have that, you can substitute for that because you can't mix primary magenta. That was one of the big things for them to get into the line, was some of the primaries that were missing. And so this is a fine route too. And then the other colors I have is the orange. This is the core orange. And then I have the raw sienna shade. Now this is a new color. So the raw sienna shade, you know, you can definitely just use the burnt sienna instead, would be fine, or the yellow ochre family would work, or even some of the orange darks, like I hem-hawed between bringing these guys in. So these orange darks, kind of see how that kind of works similar as this one. But then when you get lighter, you get more saturation. So you could add some of the, this is the raw umber that I like to use. And so yeah, I'm just talking about the colors to kind of give you an overview. This is a burnt sienna, and this is the core. And then this is the diarylide. Now this is the core of diarylide too. And, oh, well, actually this is the shade, because the actual one for that is pretty bright. So I picked that out because of some of the brightness in here. I can even put that in here. Let me clean off I just wipe mine off. They last forever, guys, so I don't get too frugal on the PanPastel. I've gone through quite a bit of them. But I thought the shade actually matched pretty well. And when you really blow up the moth, it actually has more diarylide in it than you would think. And then this is the, I should switch these, but let me see here. And this is the raw umber, which I came in neutral. There's some neutrals in there, and then I picked the raw umber tint. So that's what I've picked for basically the overview here. Let's see here. Shiva's here. Please, after saying hi, like the video. We are 42 people, but only 6 likes. Thank you, Shiva. I really appreciate that. Yeah, liking my video really helps out. It is a huge help for my channel. It's something that you don't think about once you're in here because you're being, you know, we're live. So yeah, if you could take a moment to like the video, I really appreciate that. Thank you, Shiva. Oh yeah, and then Karen's supporting that. That's what I do, Karen. Stacy's here. I did it as soon as I came in. Do it. That's funny. All right, so I got my color. I'm just going to kind of lay down some of the colors, see what the vibe is, how I'm going to feel about it. And I was thinking of just bringing in some of the diarylide shade first, and then I can push it back and forward. So right now, I'm just going to place that down. Now, I don't mind if it knocks into my black, because if you understand how PanPastel is structured, it's all structured around these black and whites, because the core color is the pure color, and then when you add white, you create a tint, and when you add the black, it creates shades and extra darks and all of that. So white now actually creates the mediums, the lights, and the tints. So you can kind of understand that, then it really starts becoming clear. And so when I work my black, it's okay if I'm mixing in, because it's just going to add a little bit of dark to it. And this is going to turn it almost into the diarylide, which I'm not too fussy about. I'm going to mix it in with this, I can't get this name down. It's a new one, the Raw Sienna shade. This is a little bit bright. I'm going to neutralize it, and it might even make me pull in some colors. So let's see here. I got the Raw Sienna Extra Dark, and then I also have the Burnt Sienna Dark. So I need to go darker, and this one is not that dark. So I might bring in a little bit of my black with the Raw Sienna and mix that right on there. And I'm actually just going to bring these black. Now see what I just did, and I basically put 2 layers in here to kind of get some dark in there. That decision right there, going back and forth, can really affect the side of the pastel mat. So I can go in here, I know what that decision is now, and I can start putting it into the pastel mat. And you know, this is a great paper. Like I said, there's been a lot of amazing, I've seen amazing work created on it. But it'll be interesting just to see how it forms. Like it's actually a little bit, let's see, let me get some diarylide in there, get the same look. Getting the vibrancy is interesting, because I did not put any white in there. I've never done this, so I think it's just going to be really interesting to, once I get these blocked in, I'm probably going to have to go a little bit faster than I normally would to get these blocked in. And you can already see that it's accepting color a little differently, and that's fine too. I'm going with it. It's a little bit greener, but I'm totally fine with that. I can, you know, bring in some of these other colors. I can even neutralize the diarylide out with the I'm bringing raw umber shade, and that'll work too, and we can bring it up. So I'm just going to get this blocked in, and hopefully we can really see both of them and how they shine together. So if I'm doing the same thing to each side, that's why I'm going to, it's mirrored. Watch, I'll probably get done and then I'll be converted. I'll be like, oh, no. It's fine. I'm not here to tear down Pastel Mat at all, in the sense, you know, I'm just saying I've used it, both of them. Maybe, you know, there's great things about it. I do think it's really holding on to my color really well. And I think what's interesting is it's really true. This smears around a little bit more. And this one, it really kind of goes down really solid. I think where we're going to run into something is when I start putting my pencils down. Okay. I know I'm not getting it exact. That's a little bit lighter on this side, but we'll adjust. And I'm not out for perfection, so I'm just going to start laying this stuff in, and we will just see how it goes through. And remember to comment after the live too. This really helps Dawn out. Oh, Luis, you're so sweet. You always leave a comment after. I love all your comments. I try to get back to all of them, and they really mean a lot to me. Jennifer's here. Hi, Jennifer. Yeah, it's a moth, but it's okay. I love butterflies too. Debbie says, it looks cool, the way to compare papers, instant visual. I know, it's very satisfying. And I'm just going to go in here, and we're gonna plug away and get most of the colors in here. I do like neutralizing it out with the burnt umber. Why can't I do that? The raw umber. I know raw umber, I'm a little blank today. I think I'm a little rusty with my brain, especially on a travel weekend. Like I feel like I traveled a lot. We went to go see our friends, and so it's always a little discombobulating. I find this really interesting how the colors are looking. I find that quite fascinating. The colors look really different close up to me. All right, I'm just going to try to really drop in a lot of my color here. And I'm going to do the pinks and everything last. Now this side, we have a little bit of a tint of burnt sienna I'm going to put in there. And I like to make colors pop even a little bit more. So I don't know, maybe it makes me feel like I have my own spin on it. So I'm going to put that rainbow of burnt sienna in there because that makes me happy. So we're going to get that in there. And I think this is going to really show where each paper shines. That's what I'm kind of vibing here. I think as a graphic design, from a graphic designer point of view, the one thing I'm noticing is that it really takes the true color in right away. Trying to get the colors to match up for this moth was kind of interesting. I didn't expect it would be diarylide. And then when you start really looking closer, it's, I think that's really interesting. I don't know if you've ever been like when you're out and about walking around and you've been, you're observing. This is a really fun thing to do, is that you start looking at the landscape around you and try to name colors. As I've gotten better and better over the years, I find that really fun and fascinating. So I'm mixing these two, diarylide and burnt sienna, to get this little bit of a diversity in the colors on here. And you know, we're 2:07 in about 15-20 minutes. We're really going to get farther along here. These initial stages of getting the colors blocked in can be a little bit of a patient journey. But what I do like is that, you know, I'm mirroring each side, doing mirror, so that's kind of fun. What colors have you guys been working with lately that you've been really enjoying? I would love to hear that. I'm all about color. I used to not really be good at color, and I started really studying it and really getting into it, and then I've been, you know, gotten better and better. I used to really create a lot of mud. Oh, Stacy says, I see you. So glad you see the eyes in there. They're popping out now because I'm getting everything in here. Looks like a cool way to compare papers. Instant visual. Oh, we've said that already. Thank you. That's awesome. Well, welcome everyone. We got quite a few of you here today. That feels really good. And I'm just going to get all of this color in that in this range here. So I'm going to use my burnt sienna up here. There's some interesting range of that, and I'm going to use my raw umber, and I'm going to mix that in up here, and it's going to have a little richer. I think it's been a long time since I have done a painting on Pastelmat. When I started off, it was the first paper that I was introduced to that I could find. That was different from like a Mia Tintes was one of the first ones. I had miserable time with that for me personally. I've seen some people do some really beautiful work with it, but it does not have a tooth at all. And I've never done this side-by-side thing, and what I'm noticing just playing here is UART is really smooth. It's a lot smoother. It almost like the color moves around more, and I can see as maybe a student being able to like understand that a little bit more when I'm working and talking with you guys. And that's probably why I build up so many layers, is because it is moving around more. And for me, that is just something I've gotten used to. Well, I don't think I put that in there. Here, just a sec. So this is what I love too, is I can just erase. So this is my all-in-one eraser. Let's see what that feels like if I can just erase here and feel good about it. Let's do the same thing. I think you could get away with a little bit of erasing, but I feel like it might damage the paper a little bit. I do feel like this is more vibrant because it's really grabbing on the paper. Oriole. Oh, I think Oriole's new. You did a super chat, Oriole. Thank you so much. I appreciate that. Oh, that's awesome. Everyone, we can give you a little thumbs up. Thank you for coming into the group. Let me see. I don't think you've ever said hi. I would love to know where you're coming in from. Got a little heart there. Laura says, Vermilion has been starring in my work lately. Yeah, I love Vermilion. I can't wait to see some of your work. I have to go catch up on Facebook. So for those of you that have posted in there, I have got to catch up. As you know, I traveled all weekend. And so when I do that, I get a little discombobulated. So I'll definitely have to do that. Yeah, thanks for cheering Oriole on. Marilyn, okay. I don't know if I'm pronouncing Oriole wrong. I can call you Beagle, but Oriole is where I'm going with. Susan says, I agree with Laura. I love that Vermilion and the new pinks. I had doubts about working with the blues this morning. Oh, well, I love all the colors. I do think it can be a little overwhelming, and that's what I've been kind of sharing with people, is you really can get away with just, you know, a really small amount of colors, but it is nice to have some of those for certain reasons, which I talk about in that video. So if you haven't watched that video yet, the video about the new colors, that's a really good overview. So let's see here. I got a couple more spots in here with this darker look. I'm trying to make sure I don't get the pink parts in there, but I really only have the pink coming down in here. So most of this is this diarylide here, and it stops. I did not put a line up here, so I need to be aware of where it stops. So just one sec, it comes about right here. I do think that I am shedding a lot of perfectionism, and this UART does allow me to move things around so much easier. I can tell right now with this versus this, it allows me to move around because I'm not going to be done just on one layer. I think this paper really works well if you're just doing a really light thought out layer that's like formulated through. I think it's really shines in that department. I'm going to bring in some diarylide here and then go in with a little bit of the burnt sienna and the diarylide shade here. So I'm loading the edge of my wand. I'm just mixing those two. And if I have time, I was going to do a shadow, a drop shadow underneath it. We'll see if I have time to play with that. I have these two lines here, but I'm just going to go over both of them. And I got to remember that stops right there. It looks like I got this line on here. You know what? Just a second. I can see where it's at. So when I did the transfer, I didn't get the same line here. So it's right here. That goes down about here and then hits in on this one. So this is almost a double. So let's see here. That goes in about right there. and then goes in one. See, so I missed that. Welcome everyone. For those of you that have just showed up, we are testing out Pastelmat on this side and UART. They're both, I mounted them onto one 9x12 piece, and we're going to go through here and really find out some of the differences and how it works with the style that I'm teaching. So if you just got here, I would love it if you said hi. Angela says, I use small brushes on my Pastelmat. Yeah, Angela, I've seen a lot of people use the brushes because it's more finicky. It really can't take the heavy layering that, you know, I like to do. So that is one of the things that I've seen people use little brushes. And for me, I don't want to work tight, if that makes sense. Like, I want to feel a little free, and I don't want to work methodical. So today, you know, I'm going through and I'm doing this a little bit more that way just because we're testing something out. Obviously, you know, the one thing is I didn't really pick a ton of, I didn't make it really, really easy. You know, this butterfly has a lot of detail in it. I want to clean this up so I can put the pink in right here. I went over a little too far. Yeah, like it does not want to erase as the same, but if I got aggressive with it, it probably would have been, it'd be fine. All right, so now I got that in. So I think what I'm going to start doing is laying in this magenta, and then I'll go in and lay in the whites, and then I'll do my next layering on top, and that's going to allow us to see a lot more of where we're at. MK's here from West Virginia, just scrolling and saw this. Well, welcome. We're doing some soft pastel. This is PanPastel, and we are working with some papers to kind of show the difference. Let's see. Angela says, yeah, I've seen people do it with the UART too. For me, it also fluffs a little bit. Like, I have a couple of the little tiny, like, I don't know if I have them in here. Let me see. But I think I use them and kind of, like I have, but they're a lot tinier, but they'll use brushes like this. So if I don't, this is a larger one, but like, say if I wanted to use it, I could go in here and you can see what that looks like. So when you're applying, it's like so delicate, and you're layering on this like really delicate thing. So if you want to do some really delicate work, I definitely think that can be interesting. For me personally, I could see it as, you know, like it could work really cool, but it does fluff the medium. Let me see if it fluffs it as much over here. Yeah, it fluffs it the same. So you do get a little woofed of the medium coming up. And I know a lot of you, that can be a little bit disconcerting in the sense of like some of you have allergies and stuff. But for me, you know, it's interesting. I do say on this paper, you can see the grain a lot more with it. On this one, it's a lot smoother. I'm going to make sure my focus is here really good. Let me just double check. I want to make sure you can see it. Yeah. Okay. So, you know, they're using like a set of these brushes that are really tiny. They're Slenier. I don't know if I'm pronouncing it right. They have a set of brushes, so you can always try it out, see what you think. Let's see here. MK, welcome. So glad that you're here. And, oh, I said hi to you already. And then let's see. Everyone's just being really sweet. Oh, MK says, I work in pastels, so that's awesome. That's wonderful. What pastels do you use? Are you mostly sticks, or do you use PanPastel? What do you love to do? Oh, UART rubs my pinky raw. I can't help using it though. Okay, so you use the UART. Well, I work at an easel, so I don't ever touch my finger on the paper like that. So I'm up here and I will support with a board here, and that will allow me to get into like smaller places if I need to. So I can go in here with like, well, I had this all in the yellow. I might just keep that and go in with a magenta separate. So I can go in here and do more detail and things like that without touching onto the paper. So for me, I'm not working flat, but I know there's quite a few that work flat. How many of you here in chat work flat? That'd be really interesting. There's a little pink hand in there. You can raise your hand in chat. I'm always curious to see how people are working. Let's see. MK, go to Dawn's website and sign up for the free newsletter. You'll also find free classes. Oh, awesome. Yeah, thank you, Laura. I appreciate that. And today's, I've pinned it to the top, MK. Today's line art will be loaded into the free, it is loaded into the free library. So that's already in there. And you can get that line art and play and have some fun yourself. So we're going to load this in here. And you know, I like to, I'm starting to use the darkness of the paper a little bit more to have it work for me. And that's gotten, you know, where I don't feel like I'm being such a heavy hand. So this is the magenta primary, and that is the shade. So I'm just kind of going in here. I'm not being too perfect here. Let's see. I love using the soft tools on my pastel matte paintings. Sophia uses the Pastelmat. Teresa raised her hand. Hi, Teresa. I think it's your first time in chat. She works flat. I'm really curious if you guys work flat or do you work on an easel? Why don't you say which one? If you say you're working at an easel or if you're working flat, I always love to know. Only on small pieces, 5 by 7. Otherwise, you're at an easel, says Susan. Teresa works flat. Angela says, I will say that the UART's very interesting and I can't wait to give it a go. I like the look. Laura says, I have to work in an easel, standing with pastel, even watercolor. I stand. Yeah, I have to stand too for the most part. My back just can't handle it. Okay, so I'm going to get this pink in here. And you know, I suggest this paper when people live internationally. International people can usually get this pastel matte, and people have been able to do the lessons pretty good. I am finding that the transfer is kind of bugging me in the sense that it embossed really easy on this paper. So when I did the lines and put those over, I can see that. So that's something I would have to consider when I'm using it. I'd have to be a little bit more gentle. I would say this paper is just, like I said, it's really more of a gentle process. So if you enjoy that, but I definitely encourage people to definitely explore the different papers. I do like how it sets down, but I'm also on the first layer and I know I'm going to double, you know, layer on this paper. So this really takes it really quick, but where UART's going to pay off is in the next few layers. So right now it's looking pretty good. MK works in an easel. Monique works flat. Debbie works on an easel. Angela, I did work flat until I followed you. Oh, that's great. I'm glad I inspired you to get on an easel. I do think an easel really helps. I have this mirrored on both sides. It looks like I put it out a little farther. I'm going to go with it. And because this is our, you know, moth, we do not have to copy the moth exactly, because as artists, I'm not here to make a replica of the moth. So if you're a wildlife artist and, you know, you're into realism, into photorealism, you know, these are things for you to explore and kind of find out on your journey. You know, a lot of us, you know, raise your hand. I love keeping you guys in there, but raise your hand if you're trying to find your style. You know, to find your style, it takes a bit. And so you got to explore what you enjoy before you really know where, you know, what your style is. You know, I'm just going to go with that. I put that circle in on here, and that is actually more of the other cream, but I'm just going to go with it and have it be magenta. Maybe I'll do a little bit of both. So I'm going to go on this one. I'm going to copy it over here so we have the same. Okay, here we go. What did Stacy say? I'm working in my mind. I'm awesome in there. Stacy, that is okay. You're being, you know, you're doing something, you're showing up. You showed up to the live today. That is something. You're taking in information. Don't be too hard on yourself, because there is no right timeline for your art journey. Every time you show up, even if it's just the soak in inspiration, you are nurturing something. So really, you know, you're building trust with your creativity. So be kind to yourself, and you know, you're probably doing, all of you, a lot better than you think. I have over 7,000 hours worth of time in my, with just only PanPastel. So that is a lot of showing up. So I'm going to make this kind of a double here. Now I just always have to remember what I go into. Let's see here. And then I'm going to continue this down. And see, I'm not getting too caught up in like, is this the right exact color that's on my reference? The reference for me is a jumping off point to guide me to maybe get a color thing down, get my ideas going, get my juices going, those types of things. All right, so I feel like I got that one pretty good. These are kind of more white. I'm gonna go into those later, and we got our white things. Once we get that in there, that's gonna give us a lot. And I like to get that first layer down before I make some hard decisions. Now the white though, what I might put in before I put in the pastel is on the edge here, just to what I call, it will, I call it claiming my whites. On dark paper, I have to claim my whites. Now this isn't white, this is a 700, and the 700 is a gray one. I'm just gonna go and do a little bit of a rim light on here on this edge. Oh, interesting. The pencils are night and day on the UART versus the Pastelmat. It's like the Pastelmat wants me to be really delicate with it. I can't really do as hard of a line as I would like. And then I have some little scallops here. I'm gonna call these out. I'm gonna leave that, and I have this one too. And then since I've done that, now I'm gonna go in, and I could go two different ways. I can use pastel pencils inside of here, but I do like to use my PanPastel, because pastel pencils and PanPastel are different. They just sit on the paper. They don't like merge into the paper the same. So that can be, you know, a big difference. I'm going to scallop this with the white and claim it. Interesting with the pencils. So I would say the best perk, I can tell already, is the pencils. It's so delicate. You know what? I'm just not a delicate person. I'm just not. I'm not. That's just kind of my thing. I just have learned that that's not my jam. It feels really different to put both of those down. The Pastelmat feels a little bit more resistant in my opinion. The UART feels like I can just, it feels like butter. That's the best way I can put that. So I could have just put this all in as a solid and then put my white dots over it. But if you followed me for a while and you've taken some of my lessons, if you don't hit something from the base layer and then, you know, with those whites, and you put it over on top of a pencil, they're gonna blend together. So to really get that solid, I'm using a gray because I like to have range. I don't wanna totally get rid of my range. But I can put multiple layers of pencil on this, and I really don't feel like I could go much more with the pencils on this. So I might just go in and do my edge here, and I can tone it down a little bit with this. This is basically in the raw umber family. So if you want to get the feeling, you could definitely do this. I do have a video on how to mount your pastel paper. I mount mine with a graphics, double-sided graphics adhesive. I'm gonna push this out. I'm using, this is the French red ochre. It's 675, and it's a Carbothello. The 675 is one of my favorites. I'm trying to even these out. And then I'm going to put this black line in a little bit farther out because I feel like it got in. So I'm having to make a change on this side a little bit, like an adjustment, and I can really feel that. Like this will go over and mix with the pencils, and I can just bring them together and blend them together and use the black as a support team member. All right, so I feel like I got the base down there a little bit better. And I'll still be able to put some layers on this. I'm just gonna approach both of them with how I would work so I can really get the feeling of what this, you know, feels like. So I'm trying to think of what I'm gonna probably keep those little scallops. I could go outside the box and put some magenta in the center just because I want to. Or I could leave it, but I might just do that just for fun. And if I don't like it, I can always change it. So I can go in here and because I'm all about the whimsy. And I'll get into chat here and answer any questions that you might have. It's a great time, especially if you're a Pastel Insider member, or you know, you're taking a lesson or anything like that that you have questions about. This is a great time to do that. And we'll just see how that feels for that. Now I'm gonna debate about the eyes. I think I'm gonna go with the diarylide green. I'm just gonna go down and follow my gut here and work with the eyes. And I'm gonna have to darken them, but what is going to make them either really stand out is how much drama I do with the eyes. So I'm gonna pull in a white, but the one thing with eyes that a lot of people do is they over white them. I'm gonna go in with a little bit of the raw umber. I keep thinking, am I saying it wrong today? Raw umber shade with a little tap of the raw umber light in there. And I can do this with pencils. I probably should, but as I said, I do like to hit it with. And then I have the raw umber pencil, which is the 700. And this is a Carbothello. Now I'll use my shadow pencil and go back and forth with here and blend. Now I did not pull any green. And so what I think I'm gonna just use is my shadow pencil and darken this green a little bit and kind of work on the eyes. And I'm debating what I wanna do for the eyelids. So I'm gonna actually go in here. So this is where I feel a limitation already. It does not like me putting this pastel pencil on the next layer. So I'd have to plan this out and be really I probably, if I had a reference image I was going with and showed me that those lines are around the eyes, I would do that first and I would methodically go through and do that. Now I can go here and I can put multiple layers back and forth multiple times with the UART. So I'm going to go and put in my shadows. I like eyes to connect. Now I might end up going a little too dramatic with my eye and I can push and pull it back. So it's just going to take me a minute here. I'm going to do both on both sides and I'm just going to share my experience here. But like I can already feel that I've maxed out any type of changes right here. Like I'm having to really push into the paper. So if you are working with the paper a lot, you're going to know that, and you wouldn't put down as much as I did. And so I'm going to play with that and just bring it back and forth. So this is pretty. I'm going to tone this down a little bit and bring it back and forth out. And I have some ochre pencils. So the yellow ochre from this family, the Carbothello family, is okay, and then you can work with the 615, which I didn't look up the 615, but I did look up some of these other ones. That one's not in the set of 48 that I usually do. Let me see here. This 183, I really liked it. I'm going to show you the difference of it really quick. And the 183 I wrote down, it is, oh wait, what is 182? Let me find the 182. Shoot. Sorry guys, just a sec. It's this one. And then what was this one? Well, this was the yellow ochre. I just didn't write it down. So I have the 183 that's in the Pitt pencils, and this is the yellow ochre in the Pitt pencil. This 182 is basically the brown ochre that you get, which is a really nice range. I would say Faber-Castell Pitt pencils are really known for their earthiness. They're the Carbothello are brighter. They're more of like Japanese type vibe, like they go brighter first and you have to tone them down. The yellow ochre though in the Carbothello is duller and it's a lot lighter. So it's almost the step in between these two. And then I don't have the name of the 615. That's really close to the brown one that's in here. So I'm going to have these listed. I'm trying to list most of these pencils, but it can be a little bit of a challenge. So I'm just going to go in here and fuss with this eye right now, and I'm going to use this ochre 183 because that's the closest thing I'm going to get to the diarylide. And I'm going to play with the eye. And then I feel like I have to go back, use my black maybe to get the darkness around this eye where I want it. Yeah, I think I just have to be a little bit more intentional with this paper. Yeah, it's just, this one is just really quick. So it's going to look funny until I get a highlight in there. But I'm going to go back and forth here and just get it to the right values that I want. So I think I'm going to really be able to see, because I bet you I'm going to struggle putting a highlight in on this side. So I have the eyelids. I'm debating about putting pink on them. But I think I might try to keep them neutral. So I'm going to go with maybe a darker burnt sienna. I'm going to try that. And then that won't make them pop out as much. If I put pink in there, it's going to like be a whole, it'll really bring attention to it. So I've also lost my, yeah, that's a little bit fussy to work with for me. I'm going to go back and forth here with maybe some of this. No. Interesting. I'm going to try it here with this now. Yeah. So because it grabs on so hard, I can't blend. So I'm realizing I think I blend a lot more than I'm verbalizing sometimes. On the paper. And I also do that where I say something and then say the rest later. Like, all right, so we got some eyes in there. They're a little bit drowsy. We will play with that. I don't have it all mapped out yet. I think I'm going to try to get a highlight in there. I might just do that since I'm here. I'm going to use my 700 and I'm going to pop in a highlight right on top. It's taking it, so that's nice. So we have a little bit of a highlight in there, and then we'll be able to clean this up and play with our values here as I go along. So I'm going to try to get some more going before I go and really bring out the eyes, because I don't know how much I really want to bring them out. But I have to go in with more intention with this, and there's something about it that I like. And there's something about it that I don't love. And we're working on this. Let's see here. Okay, I'm going to catch up on chat and I'm going to get a drink of water. And we will catch up here because we are at a pretty good spot here. Sophia says, do you use colored pencil or pastel pencil? I'm only pastel. I don't use colored pencils, but I know a lot of people who do. The difference with pastel using a colored pencil is you're dealing with wax. So once you put a pencil down, you have to be sure that's where you want it. So a lot of people will put it on their final layers to build up textures and details, but you really can't go over it again once you put it down. Adrienne says she does a flat and easel and she rotates. Did I miss Paula? Oh wait, Laura said something up here too. I missed a couple. Let me see here, just a second. Katie says, Pastelmat just bugs me. I want to like it, but haven't found the way. Yeah, I think you and I are the same. Art Era says, hello. Hello, Art. So glad that you made it here today. MK says Canson Velvet is their favorite. I think that's the new paper out. Isn't that the new one from Canson? I heard Canson Velvet's more consistent than Pastelmat. Katie says easel, floor, and tabletop. Louise says easel for me now. I find the perspective changes if it's flat. That is so true. That is so true. Let's see here. Okay, so Louise says for years. Okay, she's been finding her style for years. She raised her hand. Thank you. That's awesome. I know, but the more you show up, you're finding your style. And I've seen your work, and you've done some amazing pieces. MK says, I bought $300 of bad Pastelmat. I don't like them anymore. Nothing worse than halfway through a painting and having issues with the paper. 100%. I feel you. Susan says, I'm definitely on the Find My Style journey. We know you are. You are doing great, and you keep showing up, and you're doing amazing work. Really amazing. There's some people in the community that you guys are, you know, really doing amazing. Stacy says, Laura says, Stacy, I took a nap the other day, and I dreamt I'd painted a hot dog in watercolor, and the relish came out perfect. Man, was I mad when I woke up and realized I didn't paint it. You're funny, Laura. Sandy Moore says hello. So glad that you're here, Sandy. Welcome. Louise says you must have been hungry, Laura. That's funny. Yeah, that's a really expensive. Well, you know, I hope that MK, whoever you bought the paper from, you called. Any supplies I've had an issue with, I have really gotten a lot of support and exchanges, especially if I, you know, send photos, because I buy my paper all in bulk. In rolls, and I can't imagine having a roll come in and that being an issue. So, and I think with this whole thing with, you know, sampling these two papers today, one of the big things is just not limiting yourself and really taking the time to explore. A lot of us, what I've noticed, don't want to give time to ourselves to explore because we think it's a waste. And it just gives you a lot of contrast. So maybe you'll even love something even more. Or, you know, maybe you've decided that that paper could be used for this, but not that. you know, those types of things. So I think I'm going to go and put my whites in. And I have a couple more spots here that I'm noticing that I want to get the color in. So I'm using the burnt sienna with the diarylide shade. I want to make sure I got diarylide yellow shade. Yeah, and I'm mixing it to give it a little bit more of a orange tint to it and to pull out some of that green. So now I feel like I got almost everything in, and I might just go in with a light wand and get my whites in. I'm going to do the edge here with diarylide and then go in with my shadow pencil to put the marks in. This is a little bit smaller than I like working with the details. A lot of times when I'm working with this size, I go a little bit more pastel pencil heavy. And you know Stacy likes a good pastel pencil throwdown. So yeah, I have to, though, for me, get the first layers down before I want to do that. And I can even bring in some of the, I'm going to go a little bit of both here with the diarylide and the brighter diarylide and get this edge in. And then I think I'm going in, I think this is still, I'm just going to separate the two. These aren't white, but they're a lot lighter. So I could go in with a little bit of my, even using the diarylide darker color. So here's a tip too. If you want to neutralize something, you can go into a shade or a dark and then bring them up with a tint, and it neutralizes that color, so it desaturizes it. So I can go in here with a shade, put a little bit of white in there, and then it's not going to be as vibrant, but it's going to bring up the value of that. And I want it to be a little bit neutralized. I want this to be kind of a multicolor area here. And you can see I'm not about perfection. That's one thing I've learned with my style, is I'm shedding perfection. I'm about getting the concept down, but I also know that this first few layers, I'm going to bring some of this raw umber in to this with the diarylide. I like both of them together, going down in this spot. And I usually will block in, and then I will bring all of my next layers, I bring it all together. And I think on this paper, it really works better if I work through methodically than because I'm not going to overfill anything, because I know what I'm doing. And that really works well with someone who's doing a photorealistic type of vibe. Because that's a lot of the work I've seen that's really, really beautiful, is the, you know, portraits and, you know, animal, wildlife, you know, artists who are really into getting that realism in there. And I can bring in a little bit of this light here. Let's see here, I went around and I'm leaving the top for the, and I can also use the, oh, that's a white. I'm not going to go into that. That's fine. I went into both of those. Those aren't white. Okay. I was making it whiter by bringing them. I really want to use the raw umber in here. I'm going to just do that, and so it's duller. Yeah, the other thing I'm noticing is I'm looser, and when you're working loose, I don't feel like I get to move things around as easy. I don't know. It's definitely a different feeling for me, and I think I'd have to be in the right mindset to utilize that. And I've worked so many years, I've built muscle memory with this paper. So my muscle memory and everything is connected to it. So up at the top here, I'm going to hit this with orange. I definitely think if I've repeated myself a few times, but if I was working methodically through, this paper would be really cool. So I'm going to go in here, and I have these little round dots that I kind of lost them a little bit, and I want to bring in the white. So I'm going to use just a white pencil, and I'm going to bring these in. And then they also had some lines on here. And I'm just going to claim that with white. And then I'm going to do these little guys. I'm going to pop in the raw umber, and I'm going to do this. And then I'm going to catch up on chat here. We're at 2:51, so I definitely have to get moving to get that next layer on. All right. Oh, Michelle's here. Hi, Michelle. So glad that you're here. Gypsy Studios here. She asked me a question. Have you ever worked on Ampersand's pastel board? Yes, I have. Didn't love it. It doesn't take the layers that I would like for doing abstracts. I've done quite a few abstracts on it. There was another paper that I thought was interesting. It was at Dakota. I think I got it at Dakota. It was almost like a vellum paper that had a texture on it, and I don't have the name of it. Let's see here. I'm so glad that you made it here, Michelle. Don, I can't see on the reference as it's small. Do the moths have that eye, or did you add that? Oh, I totally added it. Here is what it looks like big, but I just, I can't put things that big up on the screen. So, and this has reflection. So also this one had a broken wing. I've changed all kinds of things on this. I don't really work references as true, like I'm saying. I'll pull things like details that I really like, and then hopefully I can get to a good spot here. So I'm going to start pushing through here a little bit, and I also want to do chat. I'm so glad that you're here, Michelle. Dawn, do you have, okay, I did the pastel board. Let's see. I have not tried Canson Velvet. We'll try it out. Hello, Create and Relate. So glad that you made it here today. Yeah, and if you haven't tried out UART, I definitely would try out UART. I'm loving that. But Canson Velvet, I heard, it takes a little bit more than the Pastelmat, and they're also really consistent. Jonas is here. Welcome, Jonas. Yep, Stacy, got to do the throwdown. We'll see where I get to here. Okay, let's see. I love this comparison, says Stacy. Thank you. Sophia says, I've been using Pastelmat and I love it, but we'll try UART and compare. Yeah, I'm really curious to see what you think of it, Sophia. Create and Relate says, I want to pick pastel up again on my channel, but having too much fun with other crafts at the minute. Well, I hope you maybe will get inspired to try it out. MK says, prepare yourself. UART is more sandy, and if you blend with the fingers like me, it's a big owie. Yeah, I don't blend on the first layers, but see, if you are blending at these earlier stages, I don't blend. And if you're using your soft tools, you shouldn't really have to use your fingers. I will blend after it gets a little bit layers on them. So they are different. They're really different processes. Like, I can't stress enough, this is more methodical. Let's see here. What are your thoughts on using watercolor with paper and pans? Don't love watercolor. Watercolor doesn't have a tooth, and I highly suggest you to get a UART Pastelmat. Try that out. You're going to see night and day difference. I really got into this, and I'm going to start putting white in so I can talk and work at the same time. When I initially started this whole journey, I was a watercolor artist. I watercolored for over 10 years, and I was like, oh my gosh, I'm going to combine the two, and I'm going to be in heaven. And when I got in there, I tried multiple different types of papers and discovered that it just doesn't have the tooth to do the layering. Even if I put clear gesso on it or a pastel ground, those really work more for stick work. And I personally just did not love it. So I think this line is black too here, so I'm gonna pull in a black line. So what I've done is that the UART paper, that has where you can put wet medium on it. You can do wet media. And I have basically been, okay, I'm checking my line here just a second. I think I forgot a couple lines. And so I have a free lesson in my free pastel library, my soft pastel library, called Mixed Media Magic. And you can unlock that free lesson by going to the link that I've posted on this page, and you will try it out. I demo the whole UART, and I show how it's done. I walk you through all the steps, but it is a beautiful marriage of both mediums. So you can get quite a bit of interesting results with the UART paper with the watercolor. So I'm just going to start laying in this white here. Might be here a little bit longer, but usually when I can get these colors mapped out in here, we'll go a little faster. Of course, I should have taken out some of these details, but I got caught up in them. It won't take me long. Let's see. MK, if you blend with your fingers on these 600, you probably file off your fingerprints, says Karen. I've used the 400 with my soft pastels, but can't be used with PanPastel. No, Sophia, I have used 400. 400 is really meant for sticks and building up layers with sticks. So if you use anything below 600, and I say for numbers, so the higher the number, the finer the paper. So you can use an 800 UART. That's a really beautiful smooth. You can use the 600, but anything below 400, you know, I don't think they have a 500. I think it goes down to 400. That's all for sticks. So I definitely wouldn't suggest that. I don't know why I put this little line in here. I'm just going to leave it out. So I have some ranges of pink that I'm noticing. So I'm just going to use this same one, and I'm just going to put in my lighter pink in this. And so this is the magenta medium. My style also leans more into abstraction. I like to take structure and break it down. And with that, there's, you know, I'm not methodically following things very often. So I will you know, occasionally, well, most of the time, I take the structure. It gives me the confidence to then break it down and add all of these abstract elements and color and textures and mark making that I love. That's from my abstract, you know, mixed media days. So I try to tie a lot of that in to this work when I'm working with soft pastel, things that I really enjoyed when I was working with acrylic. And so that is what I'm basically trying to replicate, but I do all of it with soft pastel. And I find a lot of fun in that challenge. That's white up there, so I'm going to wipe that off and get my white in here. So we're getting most of this. We got some more white in here. And then once I get this layer in, I feel like I'm going to be unleashed. Ha! So I got that. I decided to do my own thing right there. So for this one, I'm just going to match the other colors. And moths are really fluffy, but I'm not out to make all of that fluff come alive. Like I'm not trying to be methodical. I like to put some pattern in there if I can. And then I'm going to go up here and kind of range this pink. And then we have our white that's coming down. So this is the primary magenta. And then I'm going to bring in some orange. And then I'll catch up on some chat here real quick. I do really like the look of the Pastelmat if I was just okay with those layers. But I don't like how my lines look in it. I don't love the line work because I like the line work to work with my style. With my style incorporates the line work. Okay, let's see. I got this in here is a little bit lighter, so I'm going to go with my raw umber and the duller and put this lighter in here. So I wish UART and Pastelmat could have a baby. If these two companies came together and it had the same texture and the way it takes color, I think I would really love that. But that's definitely something that I'm thinking that I would like. Like if they had a baby, I think they would be the perfect paper. I don't really remember how I had this line here, so I'm just going to put my white in. And then I'm just going to bring out some of the... Okay, so this is where Pastelmat and UART are going to be interesting, is this next layer here. So I can really feel like I could go multiple layers on this. So I have this around here that I did. So I'm going to bring this in. Okay, so I'm almost done with blocking in. I'm going to put a little bit more of the lighter pink in, and then we'll go on to the next layer. Go unlock it. Absolutely amazing, says Angela. Which grit is better in the UART? I think I answered that. I use the 600. You can also play around with the 800 with PanPastel. With PanPastel, the 6 and the 800 are the go-to. I definitely would check that lesson out. I like mixing medias. So do I. I'm trying to think if I have one here. I think I have it out. No. I put it away, but I did an owl. The owl I did, I really love that. Let's see. I did wet pastel. Underpainting on the UART worked great. I wish UART had more colors so I could do toned paper, so I wouldn't have to tone the paper. Yeah, I love toning the paper. Susan found a love for toning the paper. I don't mind toning the paper, and I also think UART just really allows a lot of flexibility for that, and I'll even put a light fixative on that toned paper layer because it pushes it into the tooth and gives me more layers. Michelle, thanks for cheering everyone on. I really appreciate that. The wet pastel, I've done some with the landscape minis live. I'm thinking you're thinking with an alcohol wash. Water and pastel don't really go that great together. At least that's my experience. Create and Relate says, new to your channel, just subscribed. You're loving the live. I'm so glad that you're having fun. Thank you for joining me. Yeah, you can use water or alcohol. Yeah, with the PanPastel, the water will bead up. I find it beads up. The alcohol is like butter. It's a lot like watercolor. And I've demoed all of that in the mini live that I did a few weeks ago. And I also did a full class on it too. Okay, let's see. I'm just catching up on chat before I go to the next thing here. Create and Relate, welcome. There's so many great lives as well. Class is free. Yeah, there's all kinds. Thank you, Laura. Awesome. Okay, so I think I've caught up on chat. And I'm going to go to the next layer. So I have a couple more spots in here, which I'm thinking are white in the center here. So I'm just going to go and take my raw umber tint, and I'm just going to lay this down. And then I can go in between these colors. And so these two kind of blend out a little bit. And I can start blending. Maybe I go with a white. Well, that one, the white was kind of in the center too, but see, I get to the point where I just have to let the reference go because I change things so much. So I'm just going to bring up the value in this area. It's a little different than the reference. So I think for me, like what I'm really noticing is it really wants me to just, I lose my lines a little bit easier, I feel like. I don't know what it is. I think I'd have to go back and forth, but I'm just going to keep laying it in. Okay, so if I was going, let's see, for like pencil layering, I got this over here I got to mirror it. I'm probably going to go a little later today because I really want this demo to be fleshed out. So I'm just going to kind of start getting my colors in there, or I'm not going to be able to get this finished. So usually a painting will take me about 3 hours, 2 to 3 hours. So for this, it's a little tight, and that's why I've left the background and I'm not going to do the background. So what I'm learning with the lives that I'm doing is that I'm doing like little time lapses of the finished piece so you guys can see it finished. And then of course I usually will post it finished on my Instagram channel. So I'm just going back and forth and blending these out. And then I can start working with the pencils here in just a sec. See, and I feel like I don't have enough in there for pencils on that one. So I will go and clean up things as I go. And I think if I spent some time with the eye too. So let's see here. I'm going to look at my values here really quick. I'm going to bring up the values on my next layer here of what I would normally do. For some reason that one's just way too small. I know it's small, but I wanted you to at least get an idea of what I was doing. So usually on this layer I will bring things out and develop them. So this is the French red ochre. Yeah, so this tooth is almost done. I think I just have to work it in, but I'm just going to play with it. There is something satisfying about it. I just don't do it as much. So I got to bring this up too on this side. Oh, you guys are busy over here. Francine's here. Hey, Francine. So glad you made it. I'm glad that you came in. That's awesome. I still got to send you those pictures of the horseback riding. I've been traveling. Let's see. Oh, yes, there's definitely a difference between using pan and sticks. 100%. Pan and sticks are like night and day. Pans are just a whole nother world compared to sticks. They apply differently. They're you're basically painting with pigment, and the sticks really just have a more binder in them. So when you're working with the sticks, they have that binder in, and they're made to layer in a different way. So I'm just going to go in here and I'm just fluffing. I'm going to use some of this raw, I can't get this name because it's a new one. It's the raw sienna. And I'm just going to neutralize out kind of this little section here. Fluff it out a bit. And in the I like the raw sienna. I do like how it sits a little bit more onto the paper. So I'm going to go in with some dark. I'm going to play with the eyes a little bit. I'm kind of wondering if I should have done orange on the eyes. So when I make those types of decisions, I can always go over the eye with some orange, and that'll make them a little bit more I'm getting to the spot where it's not really allowing me to do as much right there. But it's starting to come together. I'm looking at it as a whole here. So now I'm going in with the Diarylite Extra Dark, and I'm trying to bump my lines down and blend them a little bit. I can tint that and create some depth. So because of the system with PanPastel, when you add black, it's going to change the value, and you can push things back and pull them forward. So I just feel like I lose a little bit of my line structure here really easily. As you can see, it's a little bit more prominent over here, and when I touch things a little too much over here, that kind of goes away a little bit. I'm going to get rid of these little fluffs and just see what that is like for the paper. Does it leave that residue or does it go away? So you can see how it leaves a residue. It's gripped onto it so well. I think if I try to, maybe I can get it out, but I think you can see that. I'll use a fan brush. I don't have any pastel on there. Just there's stuff on my hands, so if I use my hands, that will go. But I don't know if you can see that. It is giving a little bit of a, okay, that paper's like that, and that's fine because I have plans to use a white underneath that to bring that out. So I'm looking at my pinks and where I want to go here, and I think what I'm going to do is start fading some stuff together. I don't have that exact here, but I'm going to let go of the reference, and I'm going to start, like, this is a moment, a symbolic moment. I'm letting go of this, and now I'm just playing and putting the stuff together. I feel like my reference has done what it's meant to do for me. And now I can clay. And sometimes you'll feel that, and it's taken me a while to really figure that out. But and I can even go in and blend this and see how that works versus that, and not have so much structure here. So this is one of those moments right here that I decided to take this structure out and take out this structure. So maybe, you know, I'm simplifying it because I like it better. I want to do a blend here. There's all kinds of options. So let's see what happens when I go over here to do the same type of thing. Will it be as flexible on that? So my line is pretty in there. As we all know, I like to use the carbon pencil, but carbon pencils usually will rub out, or you can erase them. And I think I'm going to go in with a little bit of this burnt sienna dark here, with a little bit of burnt sienna. Yeah, I can definitely push and pull a lot easier over here, and I can also keep my lines. And I don't know if that's just that I'm at a different angle, like my angle's a little awkward, but I don't think it's just that. Like, I've lost this pretty much. I can probably put it back in with like some pencils. So say if I was playing with pencils and I'm working naturally, I want to go to another layer, maybe to bring this up, and maybe to start kind of playing here with how I like to work with pencils. And just, so for me, that like this butterfly is just at its beginning stage, which, you know, it's not really a butterfly, it's a moth, it's a silk moth, but I was meant to talk about the symbolism of them, like transformation. And, you know, moths are very similar as butterflies in that regards. But they also are night animals and are night insects, and they are guided by the light, and they symbolize intuition. And I thought that was quite interesting. So I'm going to use some of my ochre pencils, and I'm going to start putting the ochre in. Got to get rid of that. And I have the ochre from the 183. I'm just going to use that because I really like the tone. I have a seam here because I am working on a paper that's been taped up. So I'm going to get my, and their eyes are really, there's not a lot for eyes there, so you just have to kind of do your own thing. So I'm going to use maybe a shadow pencil and put some of these eyes in. The other thing is I feel like I can move things around without fighting my underlines on the UART. With the Pastelmat, I feel like I have to really stay in line with things. Let's see here. Their little antennae would be cute. I'm going to do that just to get it all fleshed out, so at least you see a fleshed out piece to the layers. I think, yeah. And when you're using pencils, you rotate them. To get on a sharper edge. And I could put, so it's not exactly on the, it's like I can't push it around. Does that make sense? Like I can't, I want to use the word bully. I want to bully the paper. I can't bully this paper. It's very finicky. Here I can push things around, change things. And what I do is I usually use the pencils to refine things and to shape things out. I can even go in with my shadow pencil and build texture. But what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to whimsical this out a bit, and I'm going to use white. I might use a little bit lighter because white's going to be pretty strong. I'll use this, I think my pencil sharpeners do. So I love my M&R pencil sharpener. I changed the blades. It doesn't eat up my pencils, and I really enjoy that. So this really does not take the next layer of pencil very well. So I'm going to start doing my doodles and stuff. I don't know, I'm going to blow this up a little bit. I don't want to lose the top part. Yeah, I don't think I can blow it up much more without losing the top part, but I'm just going to go in here a little bit. Boy, it's a happy little spot right there. Okay, it's going to pop out. So it might be a little bit off, but I don't know if you can see that, but it just really didn't take my lines really that well. And let's just, I'll find another spot where I can put those lines in. I'll just do them right here. I think you can see that. So it's like I'm almost done. So I'd get maybe a little bit. Now when you do this, it's like butter. And I could just keep going and bringing things out. And I could do, you know, more patterns even if I wanted in here on this layer. And here I'm almost done. I don't know if you can really see that. Let's say I want to just bring this up and bring up the value here. Like I'm having to mix like nobody's business right now to get that to be pulled up. So I'm sorry if it's a little blur, but when a live, I have to be in a lower resolution state for live. So you can see I can't really pull that as easy. But here I have a ton of tooth left. Like I can definitely go like quite a few more layers. And I also clean this up with like a pen eraser just to keep it clean. I don't know if you can work with this eraser on here. I'll try it. Okay. So I'm not going to go crazy about that because I'm going to put a background in. But I think being close up, you can kind of see that little difference. So it's not as clean right there. I mean, definitely not as even and all of that. So I can play with that. But for me, I'm only on the first layer here. So I'm going to get that back out to saying Pastelmat and UART. Make sure it looks like it's still in focus. I'm going to talk to chat here a little bit. I'm still going to do a little bit more. I'm going to go a little bit longer because I really want to do a couple more things with this before I wrap it up, because I think this is a really important comparison, and I feel like I just got to the spot where I can really start feeling those comparisons out. Okay, so here we are. Louise says it's 10:20 there in New Zealand, Wednesday morning. Oh, that's amazing. I just love how we're all in different time zones. Yeah, the time zones are tricky. I'm in the Washington, so Pacific time zone is what I'm in. Did I miss anything? Where is everyone from? Where is Dawn based? Yeah, I'm in like Oregon State, so I'm in the Pacific time zone. I'm just getting caught up on chat here. Angela, I worked 26 years. Okay. Yeah, you're right, Jennifer. Okay. Yeah, you're definitely going to see a big difference because I didn't methodically work through. So now I'm going to go and spend some time here and start doing what I do to bring everything together. with the pencils. And so that can be where I'm really going to feel like I'm going to start feeling the difference here. So I'm just going to go in and play around with bringing up some of that. And now I'm in kind of pencil mode. So this is the French red ochre. And I'm going to just correct things and clean them up. And that's what I normally do. And then I like to rainbow things out. So that's kind of my jam. I can also, you know, bring in some more textures and some more pattern. See what that feels like here. I just have to remember that I'm mirroring everything, and I think that's the hardest thing. Go down a little bit more here. So as we've said, the reference image is gone. I'm kind of over it. And now I can bring diarylide, or I can even bring in some raw burnt sienna in here. Bring this up if I want a little bit brighter. And bump against these transitions. So this is the French red ochre pencil. I can even just blend this in. So if you're new here, you're going to kind of see that I don't love sticking with a reference, because I like to go in and, you know, be whimsical and do things a little differently. So right now this is done. So see how I can't put the layer in? So I have to play with that. So I'm going to grab a white, see if the white will do better. I have too many layers on this one right now. That one's done. So I'm going to leave it because it's the truth. This side goes in. I can do multiple layers on this side. I can keep going and keep going and keep going. I'm really done on this side. It's skipping. I'd have to pull some up and try to put that in to get that look. So I'm going to take this. I have some really fun pinks and stuff. I'm going to show these up on a board here. I have this color. It's a 311, and the 311 is a carmine red medium. It's a little bit more in this magenta state. I called these out. This is a 226, and the 226 is a alizarin crimson. This is live. Can't edit that out. So yeah, this is a 226. Obviously, I haven't used it very much. I've had these pencils for a long time. 124. This is a, this is called a, I got them all called out, a rose carmine, which I think is really pretty. For some reason, the rose carmine, couldn't find it at some of the places in open stock. I found it on Dakota Pastel. That's where that is, but you do have to place kind of a larger order, like to get free shipping, and sometimes that can be a little frustrating. So let's see here. So I'm going to go with the rose here. You can use any of these colors, I think would be fine. And I'm just going to bring in some lines and patterns and stuff. Yeah, I can't do anything that I would want to do on this. So I like to go in and do things like this. Like I can barely get that now. This is smooth like butter. See the difference? So for my style that I've built up over the years, this is what stopped me from using this paper. And I think, like I've said, it does amazing things for people. It's just my style that I have evolved, and what I've learned what I like and what I don't like. And I like to have a lot more freedom. So right now it's full. I can go on many layers and do colors, do all kinds of fun stuff. I can't do any more right here. So I'm done. So let's say if I wanted to go into the bodice here and add some pink and kind of maybe blend this line down a little bit. Yeah, I'm done. I can't really blend a line in much anymore. So I'm so used to being able to have many more layers. Many more layers of goodness. So let's say I want to go on here. I see chat's going, so I will come into chat here in just a second. Let's say I wanted to add some more scallops. Yep. And say I wanted to change this to be where it's just a scallop. And this is the freedom that I like. I like to be able to change and play around with stuff. So you can see that that's a little bit challenging. Okay, let's see here. You guys have been chatting away. So glad this is such a great group of all of you here today. I'm so glad that you guys made it. Gia says that looks beautiful. Thank you so much. Okay, Chrisella's in the house. Chrisella, how did I miss you in here? I'm so glad you made it today. I'm trying to see where you snuck in. Did you say hi and I missed it? Oh, maybe you've been in the background. Maybe I said hi in the beginning. I didn't think you were here in the beginning. Okay, let's see. I don't know what you guys have a little conversation going, so I'm going to go through that because I'm running out of time. Couldn't pass up the resale price after the colors arrived. Have fun. Oh, you got new supplies, Chrisella. I told myself not to buy any more art supplies until I started using what I have. But I just got my first delivery from Mary Artist, including all the new colors. There we go. Congratulations, Chrisella. Yeah, the price on them is great. And if you are interested, they have the new colors and you can save an additional 10% off by using coupon code DawnVS. It's a great way to save. You save quite a bit of money by using that coupon code, and they already have it for a really low price. So it's really great. Let's see here. Sorry guys, it's skipping up and I'm trying to catch up with all of you. If you haven't opened the box yet. MJ's here. Have you ever tried a workable fixative spray? Adding more layers of pastel can be done. Yeah, you know, if you want to work that way, you could totally work that way. I haven't done it on the Pastelmat, but for me, I don't need to put a workable fixative layer on the UART. So for me, I personally don't use fixative at all. So I'm going to go in here and just do some blending out details here and see what that feels like, because this kind of blends out. I think I'm just going to blend this line out a bit. And I'm using this 226, which is the Azalea Crimson that I can't say today. And this is where I kind of like to tap with my fingers. So that line is there a little bit, and I'm okay with that. I'm just kind of having some fun. And I could even, oh, I want to put those lines in too. So I got to do this over here first. See what that feels like. Okay, I'm done. It won't let me do the same blending. So here, I'm just going to do the same thing that I'm doing on this side, so you can see the differences. So this layer's done. Yeah, very much done so. So that is the same texture of me going down into the side. So at this layer, I don't have the feeling of my finger being sanded off, that is when I'll use, you know, sticks. I can't really get more on here to get that same look on this side. So now I'm going to go in here. Let's check out. Yeah, Crystal. Hi, Crystal. I hope I think I missed you. Hello. Welcome. Hello, JC Creates. I'm so glad you made it today, too. Oh, okay. That makes sense, Chrisella. Thank you, MK. I'm glad you like the colors. Yeah, the fixatives do change it. Workable fixative, I wouldn't use a workable fixative. I would only use pastel fixative on my pastel paintings. A pastel fixative will allow you to have maybe more layers. UART, I don't have to use that. I don't use fixative. It will dampen all my whites, and I'd have to go back over my whites again, and that can be really frustrating. So personally, I just don't use fixative, and UART is made so you don't need to use fixative. I'm getting a little bit on this one. Not a lot. And then I have, that was my French red ochre. It was the 675. I have a lighter. This is the rose pink. It's a 124. It's a pit pencil. It's really pretty, and it's definitely in the whole magenta family. But I don't, that's really does not showing up on camera as much. So I can't do that on here. It just almost embosses the paper, which is cool. I mean, I'm not going to say that, you know, it's not, you know, but I'm done with layers on this side. It just doesn't, I have nothing really left to work with unless I massage in and really massage it. Like I have a little bit of open paper right here. So it might let me, yeah, that's not fun for me. I'm going to say a hard pass on this because for me personally, I'm all about this layer. If you followed me for a while, this is the layer where I get to have fun. I personally want to be able to play and roll around in this layer. I want to, you know, just keep adding and having fun. So for me, this layer is really important to my creative process. And that's the difference, is trying to find what fits your creative process. If you are enjoying it and you are, you know, a more methodical worker and creative, the pastel mat might be your jam. And you know, I started out with this paper and it does have some very beautiful attributes to it. I do love how it looks. I like the texture look on the paper. I like the color, how it looks. I just don't like that I can't really do more than I want. I want to do more. And I'm a more person. I'm more. And there's nothing wrong with being more. I'm more, and I know it. And I don't like feeling like restrained. So that's something that I'm feeling with the paper. Okay, I'm going to go in here. I'm trying to find, maybe this color would be really pretty. It's 615. I don't have the name of this one. It's I think an ochre. I'm kind of liking putting these stripes in here. So I'm just going with it. Yep, nothing on this side. And so I can clean up in here. I'm going here with this white. And, you know, it might be fun to put some dots in here, because what whimsical piece doesn't have whimsical dots? This one's letting me get it in there. I like that. Okay, I'm just going to blend this out. I think it's too harsh. Okay, let me think about where I want to go with that. Oh, I was going to use my shadow pencil, and I'm going to start putting in the lines in here. And I'm just going to make them my own lines. I don't have to be specific. Yeah, that's a no. I'm trying to rotate it, but it's not, I'm fighting it. I'm fighting the paper. So it's not that the paper's bad, you guys. It's that the paper doesn't fit my creative process like I would like. And that's a big difference. Amazing pieces have been created on Pastelmat. So I'm not here to tear that down. And if you're a oh well, I can't do this at all. But if you're a Pastelmat user and you are loving it and you found your way with the paper, congratulations. Like that is huge. We're here to find what works in our creative process. So I think I'm going to leave that edge actually, and I was going to do 2 lines, but I can't get another line in here. This pencil does not want to go at all. So this is like butter. Could have probably straightened it up a little bit, you know, some of that. So this is a really rushed painting. Like, I'm definitely not getting all of my stuff in here. I mean, I would have probably a whole nother run. And plus I'm being kind of quick to be able to test it all out. So I'm going to go in with my shadow pencil now and play around with a few things. I'm going to darken my iris, you know, my eye in here a little bit more. One thing I've learned the most on this journey about eyes is not to make them so white. They're just not like that. So it's going to deepen the soulness of the piece. And I'm trying to think about maybe what I want to do for a pattern. And I think what I want to do is maybe put in some speckles or some dots. So let's see what that looks like. And this is where I get to be free. I get to make up the piece how I want it to be. So this is not taking my speckles very well. I could shadow this a little bit more. Okay, I'm going to stand back here and look at it. Now, if I wanted to clean up this side, I can use a 183, which is a dark ochre, and say this was kind of messy. This is what I love, is I can go back and forth and I can clean this up and add a whole nother layer of goodness. Let's see if I can clean this up over here. Not too bad on the edge because there's nothing really there. No, I can't do anything more right there. So you can see how I can clean those edges up, and then I can go up here Now, this UART 600 is available at Mary's Artist. I think they have Pastelmat too. I'm not sure. I don't know. But you can get it for an additional 10% off by using the coupon code DawnVS. If you want to try it out, they have it in 9 by 12s and 12 by 18 that I would usually cut down to a 12 by, what is it? 12 by 16 is what I love. Okay, I'm going to catch up on chat here. Take care, MK. So glad that you were here today. Karen says, since being introduced to PanPastels and UART 600 by Dawn, I find myself with a whole lot of different papers and loads of soft pastels that I'll probably never use and end up selling on eBay. Well, it's all about contrast and learning, Karen. You know, it's just, you have to find what works for you. Okay, so you guys are talking about colors in there. If I have missed a question, please feel free to repost it if I've missed it, because I'm going down right now to the bottom. So if you feel like I've missed anything, you know, this is a great time to ask, because I'm going to be doing a couple more things and I'm going to be signing off. Because I usually only go for 2 hours. Sunny can hear my son come home, so he's home. So let's see. Okay, so we've all got that. Let's see. I haven't ever used Pastelmat because so many people have had irregularities in it and it costs way too much. Yeah, I mean, the UART is a higher cost paper too. It's up there with cost. But the thing with UART is you can erase the whole thing and start over. I showed in my last live, you know, how I've erased and fully started over. And, oh, I got to do the same thing to each side here. And I feel like even if you play and practice, you can still, you know, erase the whole thing and do the whole thing. So for me, the UART is very flexible. I buy it in rolls, bulk rolls. So I can do another layer here. So see how I can keep layering, and I can even, you know, start putting some of my scribbles in that I like. Because this is not precious. I really like to stress that to be able to take chances, you got to just, you know, take chances and explore. Maybe every piece doesn't have to be posted. You're exploring and discovering, and I can clean some of this up. And then let's see if I can go over here and kind of get my scribbles in. And if I don't like them, I can always tone them down. But that's kind of the vibe I like. Sorry, my camera, I thought I got that thing turned off where it won't. I keep fussing with the body. I guess I just don't love the body, and I'm in a time thing, so this is just the white. Let's see what a line, yeah, see. If I wanted to put some lines in here, those are done. But I can put lines in here till, you know, I got sick of it. So these are the layers that I really wanted to get to, because this is where the magic begins in my process. At least that's how I feel. I can still go up here and add more colors and more layers. So I'm not being really super thoughtful. I'm kind of pushing the papers to see what they both can do before we go, because that's the intention of this, was to really push the papers. Really like this whole blendy thing. Oh, I'm so sorry, you guys. My brother is calling me during live, and I'm really sorry if that scared you guys. I have it on Do Not Disturb, but he's on my emergency list, which I know it's not an emergency, but he's calling me. I'm so sorry if that scared you guys. It scared me. So he must not know I'm live today, even though Nichelle came on. So he thinks my live's over, and it's not yet. I'm so sorry. Yeah, it's a silk moth. Autocorrect really messed that one up. It's incredible differences. I mean, the Pastelmat still looks great, but it's the small differences when they're side by side that you can notice. So true, Michelle. The reason I asked is that it'll have extra. Oh, you guys are talking in a conversation, so I just want to make sure I'm not missing anything. I'm so sorry I scared you guys, Michelle. Jen, everyone. I thought you had a bug. My brother is gonna get teased because I told him that he said 4 o'clock, so he's probably ready. And but I do think, let's see here. Oh, Sonny, are you good? You good, buddy? So as you guys can see, he's good. I can see him over there. I feel like we got to a good spot here. I'm gonna fluff it off. It's definitely not like a finished piece, like where I would want to be totally done, but I really feel like we were able to test the paper out. I mean, especially over here, just not being able to do any more. I could keep going on and on and on with layers here. And it's just really beautiful to be able to do that, like to really pull the paper and push and pull it and have fun with that. So I think that is what I'm in love with the whole thing. Let me see, I got to mirror everything. Yeah, see, I can't go back in anymore. So I really think you get a full picture of what the paper differences are. I hope you enjoyed the contrast. And yeah, this is live, folks. Like Michelle, like seriously, I've never been scared live. Like my brother is gonna laugh so hard, the little stinker. But everything's on silence. But yeah, Luis, the UART is popping. Gia, you'll just have to make lots and lots of art. Get busy. What did Gia say? The reason I asked, I will have the extra tint colors. Oh, I missed when people chat, it bumps it. So just a sec. Oh, well, I would keep all your tint colors, and I mean, tints you don't really go through that much. Like if you have a friend, you could sell them to them or sell them if you want, and always buy more. I would say the tint colors, white, raw umber, the oxide. Let me see, what was this other one? The yellow ochre tints are ones that I use a lot. The rest, it just depends on the piece. Like I've used a lot of orange tints. I've used a lot of the red tint, magenta for sure. So, you just have to kind of feel it out and see. Okay. Well, you guys, I hope you had a great time. I hope you really got to see the differences between the UART and the Pastelmat, and just really kind of gave, you a visual. You could definitely try it out on your own. If you want the line art, remember you can go sign up for, subscribe to my newsletter. You'll get a welcome newsletter that will give you a link to join my Pastel free library and my lesson library. Come here, buddy. And then you can get in there, and then I have a whole bunch of lessons in there, not just the line art. And I think I have 3 line arts that are connected to the live streams in there. So I hope you'll sign up and get connected through my email and get on into the free library. That's pinned to the top. And I just really appreciate all of you, and it's been a great time today. And thanks for, I know he's got a mohawk, you guys. Look at that. He's so scruffy. But yeah, I just had a great time. I hope you guys did too. And welcome to all the new people here. And if you're watching the replay, I always love to hear, drop a little, comment below and tell me where you're from. I would love to hear that. And make sure you like the video. That really helps my channel out. And I'll see you guys. Oh, next week I will not be here. So I'm taking next week off. And so I won't be here for next week, but I will be back the week after. So I will put up a thumbnail to say when I'll be back. So I will see you in 2 Tuesdays from now. And so take care, everybody. Take care, Karen. Thank you, Michelle, for all your cheering on. Thank you, Loretta. Adrian, yeah, UART wins the contest. I mean, I feel like it wins the contest, but it's all in how you work. So there's probably people that live and breathe Pastelmat or Canson Velvet, and I totally understand that. Chrisella, take care. Create and Relate, take care. JC, so glad that you guys came today. And I will see you guys next week. All right, bye-bye.